What's up guys, in this video I'll be going over some of the best talents that I found on gear. This is specifically going to be going over the active talents and not the passive ones. The reason being is because the passive talents are extremely broad and have a lot to do with the kind of build you've got, as well as what your active skill weak points are and things like that. For instance, I wouldn't be looking for a skill power passive if I was building a weapon DPS kind of build. So I'll just be going over some good baseline talents that you should be looking out for that I have found so far to be the most useful. Let's start with the masks. My personal favorite talent here is Centered. Headshot kills grant status effect immunity for 10 seconds. This seems like sort of a niche thing, but the masks get kind of boned with their choices of talents. However, this does require 4 or more defensive, and that's not always possible. So my backup is usually Trauma, because I use rifles a lot. Semi-auto headshots have a 15% chance to blind. This gives you a little bit of crowd control with your damage that you're putting out there. Like I said, masks don't have the best selection of talents, but these are generally the 2 I go for. Moving on to vests. By far and away, the best one for me here is Berserk, and I think most people are in consensus with that. 10% weapon damage increase for every 10% of max armor depleted. This means that weapon damage is increased by 100% when you have no armor. This is a lifesaver in both PvE and PvP, though when normalized the buff is 5%, going to only 50% increased weapon damage. While dealing with rushers or an SMG fight, this can really turn the tide in your favor. This requires you to use a shotgun, SMG, or AR, and if your build isn't focused around that, then you might not like this perk. So a good backup is Unbreakable, which is 25% max armor repair when your armor is depleted. Armor kits used in the next 5 seconds are unused. This requires no other perks affecting armor kits, a solid perk if you're focusing a lot on armor. On to holsters. I'm not going to lie, these guys throw me off and I've had a hard time finding the one that I want to roll with the most. However, I think I have finally landed on Filler Up, which means reloading from empty reloads all weapons. And that's really nice if you're rocking a single shot marksman or an LMG. Swap to your secondary or sidearm, do some damage, reload, and boom, you have a full clip again. It's the way to go in my opinion. However, an alternative, if you are not a fan of that, is Reassigned. This causes 3 random rounds of special ammo to go into your sidearm when you get a kill every 45 seconds. I like this for the utility part of it. Knowing that I have some shock or incendiary bullets sitting in my sidearm has come to be pretty helpful. But that's just a personal preference one. All the other holster perks, besides Filler Up, are pretty niche to me. Backpacks, we've got Efficient, which makes armor kits have a 50% chance to not be consumed on use. That's a really nice perk because statistically if you have 6 armor kits, you should see 3 of them not being used whenever you go to pull the trigger on them, if your RNG is right. A lot of my builds are glass cannons, and that's kind of meta right now, with damage being so important. It requires that no other talents be affecting armor kits, so it wouldn't work with our vest from earlier, but if you're running Berserk, then it's the way to go. And to be honest, that's the only backpack talent that I really like, and I'm sure I'll catch some grief for that, but it's the truth. The other ones are just kind of lackluster or really based around skills, and that's just not how I play. However, I have been asking around to the people who do like skill builds, and a general good choice is Safeguard, which gives 150% bonus to repairing and healing after you get a kill. This requires 5 or less offensive. Gloves. This one was easy for me. I like Clutch. Critical hits restore 15% health and repair 2% armor. However, I don't think it works the way everybody thinks it does, and that's understandable because the description is a little bit weird. Here's the deal. It's either glitched out or it doesn't give as much as it should, or it doesn't go off of your total armor and health and goes off of the damage that you're doing on the crits. I believe it's the latter to be the case, but I could be wrong. In any case, it's something really good to stack with Berserk because it lets you sort of keep rotating between the 2 of them for a little while you're pelting away at somebody with a gun. It only requires the use of an AR, SMG, or LMG. A backup, if you're not a fan, is Opportunistic, where destroying an enemy's weak point increases the damage to that enemy by 10% from all sources, which is great against robots, heavies, and requires only using a marksman rifle or a shotgun. Lastly, we have knee pads. If your build allows for it, I think the best one here is Patience, which means if you're in cover for more than 3 seconds, your armor repairs by 5% every second, which is just a beast of a perk. However, it requires 7 or more defensive, and that really limits your possibilities and builds. So, what I usually go for is Entrench. which makes headshots from cover repair 5% of your armor. This requires using a rifle or a marksman rifle, which is a little more versatile in your setup there. So those are the talents that I look out for when I'm making a build, and any of those are good starting points to begin making a build from. Like if you get a set of knee pads with patience, you might be inspired to make a tank build or something. This is all subject to your current builds as well, so if you find something that's more synergistic, be sure to use that. That's all I have for you guys in this video. Let me know how you feel about these talents, specifically the clutch perk, and what your theory is there. Like this video, it really does help me out a lot. Subscribe to the channel for future Division 2 content. With that, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.